Let me begin by asking you something honest. When was the last time you said yes when every bone in your body screamed no? When was the last time you laughed at a joke that gutted you because you were too afraid to show you were hurt? When was the last time you watched someone take credit for your work, manipulate your emotions, or twist your kindness into weakness, and you did nothing except smile and walk away? If you are human, that moment was probably today. And that is exactly why we need to have this conversation. Dark psychology is not a tool for villains. It is not a manual for narcissists or a weapon for abusers. Dark psychology is simply the study of human nature without the comforting lies. It is the study of persuasion, manipulation, coercion, and control. And here is the truth that most self-help gurus will never tell you. You cannot defend against a weapon you refuse to understand. You cannot build fearlessly confident boundaries if you are pretending that everyone around you plays fair. So today I am going to give you 5 ruthless lessons drawn from dark psychology. These lessons will not make you a manipulator. They will make you immune to manipulation. They will strip away your naive illusions and replace them with a quiet, unshakable, fearlessly confident version of yourself. Lesson 1. People do not care about you. They care about what you can give them. This sounds brutal because it is, but let us be precise. Dark psychology teaches us that most human interaction is transactional at its core. This does not mean everyone is evil. It means that affection, loyalty, attention, and even love are often exchanged like currency. The moment you stop providing value, watch how quickly the crowd thins. The colleague who always needs your help. The friend who only calls when they are heartbroken. The partner who loves your patience but never practices theirs. These people are not cruel. They are simply efficient. They have learned that you are a reliable source of validation, labor, or emotional support. What does this have to do with fearless confidence? Everything. Because once you accept this lesson, you stop begging for people to care. You stop over-explaining your worth. You stop chasing closure from people who only ever saw you as a resource. Fearless confidence begins the second you realize that someone walking away is not a tragedy. It is just a transaction ending. You do not negotiate with someone who already decided your worth. You simply close the ledger and walk. When you internalize that no one owes you their care, you also realize you owe no one your peace. That is freedom. Lesson 2. Your deepest fears were installed by someone else. Let me ask you a strange question. Who taught you that you were too much? Who taught you that your voice was loud, your dreams were silly, or your anger was dangerous? Was it a parent who punished your tears? A teacher who mocked your question? A first love who laughed when you were sincere? Dark psychology reveals something uncomfortable. Fear is rarely born in a vacuum. Fear is installed. Someone, somewhere, at some point benefited from your silence. Someone wanted you small. Someone wanted you pliable. Someone wanted you to doubt yourself so that you would never challenge them. Think about the fear of rejection. That fear keeps you from asking for a raise, from leaving a toxic relationship, from speaking your truth at a dinner table. But who put that fear there? A system that rewards conformity. A family that demanded obedience. A culture that shames those who stand alone. Here is the ruthless lesson. If someone else installed the fear, you have the power to uninstall it. You do not have to spend years in therapy tracing every wound to its source. You simply have to recognize that the fear you feel is not yours. It is a borrowed script. And you are allowed to stop reading from it. Fearless confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to accept borrowed fear as your own. The next time your heart pounds before a difficult conversation, ask yourself, whose voice is that? Is it your voice? Or is it the echo of someone who once made you feel small? Most of the time, it will be an echo. And echoes cannot hurt you. They can only annoy you until you stop listening. Lesson 3. Kindness without strategy is self-destruction. This lesson will upset you because we have been raised on the fairy tale that kindness is always good. But dark psychology teaches a harder truth. Unconditional kindness in a conditional world is not virtue. It is an invitation for predators. Every manipulator, every gaslighter, every emotional vampire in history has succeeded because they found someone who gave without boundaries. They found someone who believed that if they just gave a little more, loved a little harder, forgave one more time, they would finally be safe. That is not kindness. That is self-destruction dressed up as morality. Let me be clear. I am not telling you to be cruel. I am telling you to be strategic. Fearlessly confident people are kind, but they are not stupid. They know that generosity without discernment is weakness. They know that trust without verification is foolish. They know that forgiveness without changed behavior is just permission to repeat the offense. Dark psychology calls this the law of reciprocation. People feel obligated to return favors. Manipulators use this against you by giving small, cheap kindnesses and then demanding huge sacrifices in return. You avoid this trap by learning to say something simple. I see what you are doing. That is not a gift. That is a down payment. When you stop being the endless unpaid therapist, the endless unpaid helper, the endless unpaid doormat, something magnificent happens. You do not become bitter. You become selective. And selectivity is the birthplace of fearless confidence. You realize that your time, your energy, your attention, and your love are not infinite resources to be looted. They are precious. And you only give them to people who have earned the right to receive them. That is not selfish. That is self-respect. Lesson 4. Silence is the most terrifying response you own. We think power is loud. We think confidence is the person who shouts the loudest, argues the longest, or explains themselves the most completely. Dark psychology reveals the opposite. The most devastating move in any interaction is not a clever comeback. It is silence. When someone tries to manipulate you, when someone lies to your face, when someone attacks your character, your instinct is to defend, to explain, to plead your case. That instinct is exactly what they are counting on. Every word you offer in self-defense is fuel for their fire. They want you reactive. They want you emotional. They want you desperate to prove you are not what they accused you of. But watch what happens when you refuse. Watch what happens when someone insults you and you simply look at them with quiet, patient eyes and say nothing. Watch what happens when someone tries to guilt trip you and you do not apologize. Watch what happens when someone demands an explanation and you simply blink and change the subject. Silence is not passive. Silence is the loudest statement of self-possession you can make. It says, I do not need you to understand me. It says, I do not need your approval. It says, your words are not important enough to interrupt my peace. Fearlessly confident people understand a secret that the rest of the world misses. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not have to answer every accusation. You do not have to fill every silence with nervous chatter. The moment you master strategic silence, you become untouchable. Because manipulators feed on your reaction. Take away the reaction, and you take away their power. Let them shout. Let them lie. Let them spin their little webs. You just sit there, calm and quiet, like a stone in a river. The water rushes around you, but you do not move. That is strength. Lesson 5. You are the average of the 5 people who manipulate you the most. This is a twist on the famous saying, but it is more accurate. You are not just influenced by your friends. You are controlled, shaped, bent, and molded by the people closest to you. Dark psychology calls this social proof and authority bias. We naturally conform to the expectations of our tribe. If your partner constantly criticizes you, you will shrink. If your boss rewards your overwork, you will burn out. If your friends mock ambition, you will dumb yourself down. You are not weak for this. You are human, but you are also responsible for it. Here is the ruthless lesson. You cannot become fearlessly confident while surrounded by people who need you to be afraid. The people in your life have a vested interest in keeping you exactly as you are. The doormat, the people pleaser, the easy target. Because your growth threatens their comfort. Your confidence exposes their cowardice. Your boundaries force them to look at their own lack of them. So they will sabotage you. Not with bombs and knives, but with subtle, small, everyday manipulations. A sigh when you assert yourself. A joke when you set a boundary. A silent treatment when you refuse to comply. Fearless confidence requires a brutal audit of your inner circle. You must ask yourself, who benefits from my silence? Who benefits from my insecurity? Who benefits from my fear? And then you must do the hardest thing. You must distance yourself. Not with drama, not with a speech, not with a confrontation. You simply move. You spend less time. You share less information. You stop seeking validation from people who have proven they cannot be trusted with it. And slowly, like a plant turning toward the sun, you will find new people. People who do not need you small. People who are not threatened by your light. People who manipulate you toward your growth instead of your decay. Let me end with this. Dark psychology is not about becoming a monster. It is about no longer being afraid of the monsters. These 5 lessons are not meant to make you paranoid. They are meant to make you free. When you accept that people are transactional, you stop begging. When you reject borrowed fear, you start acting. When you add strategy to kindness, you stop bleeding. When you use silence as a weapon, you stop losing. When you audit your circle, you stop drowning. Fearless confidence is not the absence of manipulation. It is the absence of surprise. You will still meet liars, users, guilt trippers, and gaslighters. But you will no longer fall for them. You will see the game, acknowledge the game, and then refuse to play the game. And that refusal, that quiet, calm, unbreakable refusal, is the most fearlessly confident thing a human being can do. So walk out of this room and look at the people around you with new eyes. Not suspicious eyes, awake eyes. You not a victim. You not a target. You are a student of human nature. And no one, no matter how charming, no matter how persuasive, no matter how emotionally violent, will ever again take your peace without your permission. That is not arrogance. That is not cruelty. That is just the truth. And now you know it. Go be fearlessly confident. Not because the world is safe, but because you are.